Hi, I'm Beth Saunders. We've been working on a family heritage album with my paternal aunts and uncles. In part one of this series, I sorted through a little archive that I've got from my Uncle Wayne and his wife, Aunt Faye. In part two, we filled in more of their story through finding more pictures and doing some genealogical research. And today, we're going to start making pages for the scrapbook album. I decided to use the Natural Beginnings album kit for a lot of my uncle's pictures. I think these will work just great. And we made this on a previous video. It's very simple and easy. I might zhuzh it up a little bit with these Legacy of Love stickers, but that should come together pretty easily. And I might do some of my aunt's family along a similar line. But for my aunt, I wanted to add a little bit of color and maybe some floral elements to her pages. I'm going to make some really simple page layouts that I got from Pam Wynn, and we're going to use some more of those in my Heritage Album workshop. By the way, the registration link is in the description for this video. Registration is open now, and it's going to be 8 weeks long this spring, starting March 28th, 2026. Okay, we're using Something Blue. Now the Something Blue has a Fast-2-Fab album, and if you just get the pages, it's the blended blues, which would be really nice with a heritage album. Also, these stickers over here, I think that would look really pretty, but I don't have those on hand. I do have the embellishments, and I've got these embroidered embellishments. Wouldn't that be really pretty? I might, if I use these for Aunt Faye, I might have to order another pack to use with my mom. And then we're going to get some coordinating cardstock. Now all of our paper packs, Creative Memories paper packs, have suggested colors that make it really easy to pick some out. But I've got some choices here. I don't have the baby blue. I'm not sure they make that anymore. But I've got cornflower, songbird blue, or just blue, which is one of the colors here. Let's see. We're going to use this pretty floral paper. And since, let's see, this would look pretty, but I want it to be a little softer. I could always use that for some photo mats. But the funny thing is, not only do these go with the paper, but some of these are going to be her school pictures. And she went to mine and my mom's alma mater, and their color, I think, is kind of along the lines of this blue. So that'll be kind of fun to use with school pictures, and it'll go with this paper. Doing this along with me, I'm going to be using my 12-inch trimmer and maybe my photo trimmer. Zero centering ruler, and of course repositionable tape runner, and maybe I will need the scissors. I'm also going to be using the Border Maker system, and I haven't decided between the Brocade Chain Border Maker cartridge or the new Tropical Flowers, so one of those. So let's take our decorative paper and make 2-inch strips. Cut it at 2 inches. Do that twice. And then we'll take our cardstock and make 2 1-inch strips. And of course, I use the short side when I have less than 2 inches to cut, because it gives me more stability up here. Right there at the 1 inch. Let's see, do I want to make it that big? Let's look at this here. Using my little ruler here. No, I think I want to make it about 3/4 of an inch. Make it smaller. So on a 3/4 of an inch, and now I want to use the border maker system. That was a tough decision, but I think I will use the new tropical flowers. So let's get our border maker system, and we pull out the paper guide, snap it into place, put our paper in, snap the paper guide back. And for those of you that haven't used this before, these little feet, let me put it into the housing here. You just pop that in, and it becomes a punch. But it's also designed to go all the way down this and make a border. So these little feet sticking out will fit right into these slots underneath. And as a guide, you've got this little part that sticks out, and it will match up to this little line sticking out here, if you can see that. So I'm going to line that up. And actually, and here's a trick that I learned from my friend Regina. When you have a chain style punch, something skinny that's going to fall off, it's cut on both sides. You see the opening on both sides, it's going to fall off. Skip the first piece here and move down to the second one. You feel those feet fit into those notches there. Keep punching. Then you go back up and you catch that first one. That way you're less likely to get this little part. It'll go wonky and maybe get bound up in here. So it just makes life easier. There's one. Get some of my trash here. And it makes these tiny little hearts. It's kind of cute to fall out. Okay, so let's move our paper over. And we'll make another one. I like to stand up when I'm doing this and just see everything better. And cardstock takes a little more force than designer paper. Let me go back up to the top. And there we go. The first thing we're going to do is, I want to kind of see where I cut my paper and match it up, putting it on the insides here. Oh, that is my empty one. Repositionable tape runner. Little kitty hair removal. And check to see if that's where I had them matching up. Yes. Okay. That way it will look like it's flowing from one page to the next. There we go. And then we'll take our little strips here and add those. Now they look a tiny bit short on the bottom, but as long as you line them up at the top, and I think I've got a little extra on that one, it should be okay. if your cardstock or paper ever falls a little bit short of your page, and this is another thing I learned from Pam Wynn, line it up to the inside and the top, and that will give you the best visual, and you probably won't even notice that when you get your pictures on. Now, I cut up some of these copies that I showed you last time. Let's see what we want to do here. And I might, okay, tentatively this is going to go here. And this is going to go maybe here. Yeah, I thought about this over here, but I don't want that line going down the middle of the picture. And if I didn't have room, I could put that on the page with her parents. But let's just see here. Ooh, got these little superlatives from high school. And I think what I'm going to do is make an oval to put behind that. I picked a slightly different shade of blue so it'll show up. And got out my custom cutting system. And I think I'll use the red blade. I could always add another mat, but I held up the navy, and I think that's a little too dark for this page. So, let's see here. Put my little feet in the track. And, oh, one good tip is when you're using the custom cutting system, if you have a silicone mat, then put that on it. Or you could use a piece of, not wallpaper, but the stuff that you lay down in cabinets, the sticky stuff. You could use a piece of that without the sticky off, of course. But anyhow, this will just stabilize it so that it doesn't twist on the table. Now then, put my little feet in the track there. And make sure that went all the way through. Okay. This back over here, and I'm thinking of putting this and this on that. And you know, I think I need something smaller with that, so maybe some white. So our ovals aren't all exactly the same shape, and I couldn't get smaller because I had used the smallest blade. So I went back and got a smaller oval, and I cut a white shape with my green blade, the middle one, and then I went back and took that original oval and used my small template with the blue blade and cut out of that larger oval so that these would be the same shape and go together. So now I think that will work better. And I'm going to want a journaling mat somewhere on here. So I thought about that, and again, I think the navy is a little too dark. So maybe one of these. And I think I like that one. Cut that at, these are 6.5, so cut it at 3 1/4. The big mats in the something blue mat pack. There we go, and I can turn it either way. Let's put our borders on, and this is where it's really handy if you do have a silicone mat, and if you don't, you could use what's left over from one of your sticker sheets where it has the glossy paper. But I'm just going to use my repositionable tape runner, and if it runs through those little holes, or if you don't have a silicone mat, then you just would wipe off the little dots, because repositionable tape runner is made up of little dots, and it's so forgiving and really awesome. I want to put it right on the edge. Make sure it matches up with the top. And then I'll just do this one over here. I wanted to know where my pictures were to see how high to put this one. Using my ruler on my 13-inch mat to make it straight. So about 5 1/4 up on each side. Oops. Or you could use your zero centering ruler and kind of put it along there. I cut out some of those copies that I made earlier. I reduced the size of the marriage license for Aunt Faye's first marriage, and a little newspaper clipping. And I just want to remind you that all of these are copies, including the pictures. So I'm sticking them right to the pages. But if they were originals, of course, you would want to use corners or peekaboo pocket or some kind of sleeve that would protect your picture, and you could get it out and scan it so that you could share it in the future. And I'm going to adhere these down, and then I'm going to add some embellishments. I thought about matting this really nice picture, but I'm trying not to cover up the newspaper article, and then I would have to matte this one too. But I love the way, sorry about the glare, but I love the way that these two pictures really balance each other out. And then I thought about the embroidered embellishments, but I pulled out some floral pieces of the embossed embellishment pack for something blue. And I think that I can pick some things that will balance out very nicely with this other page without being overwhelming. So I did end up adding the tiny embroidered embellishments here that just really add something. A couple of embellishments there. I added some foam squares to pop that edge up, and I really like this. And it was so simple with just a couple of borders. And I want to point out, look at the mixed media we've got going on here. That's typical in a heritage album. I have photographs, newspapers, copied of course onto acid-free paper, newspaper clipping. I have a marriage license and things from high school yearbooks. I would love to see what all kinds of things you're going to put in your heritage album. And if you sign up for my workshop, then you'll get some specific coaching from me based on the things that you're putting in your album. I still need to do some journaling, but my aunt was so pretty, and I really wanted her to have pretty pages. I hope you'll join me next time when we continue working on this heritage album.